The morning sky over New Horizon glowed orange as the colony's sun rose above the eastern mountains. Governor Allison Reed stood at her office window, watching workers move through the streets below. After 70 years of hard work, the colony had grown from a handful of prefabricated shelters to a thriving city of nearly 40,000 people. Her quiet moment ended when her computer chimed. Frank Donovan, head of colony communications, appeared on screen. His face looked tense. "Governor, we've picked up something strange," he said. "Unknown signals at the edge of our system." Allison frowned. "Scheduled supply ships?" "No, ma'am. Nothing was due for weeks. These signals don't match any Earth patterns." A cold feeling settled in Allison's stomach. In 70 years of space exploration, humans had found plenty of simple alien life, bacteria, plants, even some small animals, but never an intelligent species. "Keep monitoring. I'll alert Commander Reeves." Within an hour, Allison sat in the colony's small command center with Defense Commander Eric Reeves and other senior staff. Frank Donovan pointed at the main screen where several blinking dots moved slowly toward New Horizon. "They appeared suddenly," Frank explained, "almost like they jumped into the system rather than traveled here." Commander Reeves leaned forward. "How many?" "At least 50 vessels, possibly more. Our defense fleet only has 8 ships," Reeves said quietly. Allison stood up. "Send out a greeting message on all channels, then contact Earth immediately." Frank turned to his console, fingers moving quickly over the controls. After several minutes, he looked up with worry in his eyes. "No response to our greeting. And I can't reach Earth. Something's blocking our long-range communications." Commander Reeves didn't waste time. "I'm putting the colony on full alert. We need to prepare for the worst." Over the next hours, New Horizon transformed. The colony's 8 small warships moved into defensive positions. On the ground, Marine Captain Lisa Campbell ordered her soldiers to set up weapon emplacements around key buildings. Civilians moved into underground shelters that had been built as protection against storms, not alien invaders. In the command center, they watched as the mysterious ships drew closer. They were massive, each one at least 5 times larger than Earth's biggest vessels, black as night with strange bulges and protrusions that seemed almost alive. "They're not responding to any communication attempts," Frank reported. Allison felt her heart sink as she realized what was coming. "Commander Reeves, you have full authority to defend this colony." Reeves nodded grimly. "Captain Campbell, begin evacuating the government district. Frank, download all colony data to the emergency bunkers. And someone find Darren Wright from the AI lab. We may need his quantum communicator." The aliens attacked at sunset. The first blast took out 3 colonial ships in one hit. The command center rocked as shockwaves reached the planet's surface. On screens around the room, they watched their small fleet fight bravely against impossible odds. "They're coming down," someone shouted as smaller craft departed from the alien ships and headed toward the colony. Through the command center windows, Allison saw bright streaks in the darkening sky, landing pods burning through the atmosphere. She turned to her staff. "This is not a drill. All non-essential personnel get to the bunkers now." Outside, the sound of explosions grew louder. Captain Campbell's voice came through the speakers, tense but controlled. "We have alien boots on the ground. They're not what we expected." The video feed from her helmet showed strange, tall figures moving through the streets. They weren't fully mechanical, but not fully organic either. Some kind of biomechanical blend. Where faces should be, they had clusters of sensors. Their limbs moved with unnatural grace. "They're taking people," Campbell reported. "Not just killing. They're capturing civilians and soldiers alike." Commander Reeves slammed his fist on the console. "Fall back to defense line Beta. Protect the civilian shelters at all costs." Allison knew they needed help. But with communications down, Earth remained unaware of their desperate situation. "Where's Darren Wright?" As if summoned by her words, the door burst open. A young man with wild hair rushed in carrying a metal case. "Governor, I've got the Q-drone ready." Darren Wright was the colony's artificial intelligence specialist. but he had also been working on quantum communication technology, specifically, a small drone that carried a quantum-entangled message system. "Can you send a warning to Earth?" Allison asked. Darren nodded quickly. "The drone can carry a small data packet, enough for basic visuals and information about the attack. Once it's far enough from whatever's blocking our signals, it can make the jump to Earth." "Do it," she ordered. "Download everything we have on these aliens." As Darren worked, the situation outside worsened. The colony's defenders fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The command center shook constantly now from nearby explosions. "Captain Campbell's unit is surrounded," Commander Reeves reported grimly. "We've lost contact with the North Quadrant completely." Allison made a difficult decision. "Order all remaining forces to fall back to the central bunker. We need to protect as many civilians as possible." "Drone is ready," Darren announced. "I've loaded combat footage, sensor readings of their ships, and a basic SOS, but I need to get to the launch bay." "I'll go with him," Commander Reeves said. "Governor, you should head to the central bunker now." Allison shook her head. "This is my colony. I'll stay until everyone is safe." The journey through the burning colony was a nightmare. Allison, Reeves, and Darren moved through service tunnels, avoiding the main streets where aliens were rounding up humans. They reached the small launch facility behind the science building as the sound of alien crafts hummed overhead. "They're going to spot us the moment we launch," Reeves warned. Darren looked at the small drone in his hands. "Then we'll need a distraction." Reeves nodded. "I can give you that. The backup generator for the defense grid is nearby. If I overload it—" "That's suicide," Allison protested. "It's necessary," Reeves said firmly. "Earth needs to know what happened here. They need time to prepare." Before she could argue further, the building shook violently. Dust rained down from the ceiling. "They're getting closer," Darren warned. "It's now or never." Commander Reeves checked his weapon. "Get that drone launched. I'll buy you time." With a last nod to Allison, he slipped out a side door. Moments later, they heard gunfire in the distance. "Help me with the launch sequence," Darren told Allison. Together they prepared the small drone. As they worked, a massive explosion lit up the night sky. The colony's power grid went dark, but emergency lights kicked on in the launch bay. "That's our cue," Darren said. The launch bay doors opened. With a soft whoosh, the drone shot upward into the night sky. Through the observation window, they watched its small light climbing higher and higher until it vanished among the stars. "Please, make it," Allison whispered. Their moment of hope was short-lived. The door behind them burst open. Tall biomechanical figures filled the doorway, their sensor clusters glowing eerily in the dim emergency lighting. "Run!" Darren shouted, pushing Allison toward the back exit. They didn't make it far. More aliens waited outside. Surrounded, Allison stood tall, facing the creatures who had destroyed her colony. One alien stepped forward. It made no sound, but somehow she felt its message in her mind. "You will be harvested." As they were marched through the ruins of New Horizon, Allison saw hundreds of colonists being loaded into strange pods. There was no sign of Commander Reeves or Captain Campbell. Buildings burned around them, and the colony's defensive walls had been reduced to rubble. Above them, the alien ships hung in the night sky like malevolent stars. One by one, they began to depart, carrying their human cargo away from the devastated colony. In the darkness of space, unnoticed by the aliens, a small drone activated its engines. It carried the only warning Earth would receive, a message that would transform humanity from peaceful explorers to a vengeful armada whose ships would one day darken the stars. Admiral Catherine Winters was deep in sleep when the alarm on her personal communicator woke her. The bright screen showed 3:17 a.m. and a message marked "Highest Priority." She sat up quickly, sleep vanishing from her mind. "Winters," she answered, her voice clear despite the hour. "Admiral, this is Central Command. We need you here immediately. Code Black." Catherine didn't waste time asking questions. Code Black meant potential extinction-level threat. In 30 years of service, she had never heard it used outside of drills. 40 minutes later, she walked into the United Earth Defense Headquarters, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The command center buzzed with urgent activity. Screens showed star maps, ship movements, and data streams. In the center of the room stood Chairwoman Patricia Miller with a group of grim-faced officials. "What happened?" Catherine asked as she joined them. Patricia nodded to a technician who brought up a holographic display. 3 weeks ago, we lost contact with New Horizon Colony. We assumed it was a communications malfunction. 6 hours ago, this arrived. The display showed a small, battered drone. Quantum-entangled messenger. It was programmed to reach Earth, then self-activate. The hologram changed to show footage that made Catherine's blood run cold. Massive black ships with strange, organic-looking protrusions. Tall, biomechanical creatures capturing humans. Buildings burning. A defense fleet being annihilated in seconds. "The drone carried a data packet," said Gregory Walsh, head of military intelligence. "Sensor readings, colony logs, and this message from Governor Reed." A woman's face appeared, her expression determined despite obvious fear. "This is Governor Allison Reed of New Horizon. We are under attack by unknown forces. Their technology far exceeds ours. They are taking people alive. Earth must be warned. They are coming." The room fell silent after the message ended. "Analysis?" Catherine asked. Gregory stepped forward. "The aliens possess technology centuries beyond ours. Their ships can somehow jump directly into star systems, without using jump gates. Their weapons cut through our strongest shields like paper. And most disturbing, they appear to be specifically targeting humans for capture, not just territory." "Do we know where they came from?" Catherine asked. "The drone's data suggests they originated from somewhere beyond the Perseus Arm, possibly near the Galactic Rim." Catherine studied the tactical display. "Are other colonies at risk?" "We have to assume all 27 human colonies are potential targets," Patricia said. "We've sent warnings, but 3 outer colonies are already reporting strange signals at their system edges." Fleet Commander Daniel Hayes spoke up. "We need to mobilize every ship we have. The combined Earth Defense Fleet numbers just under 5,000 vessels, but they're scattered across multiple systems." Diplomatic Corps Director Howard Chen raised his hand. "Should we attempt communication?" "Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding." Catherine watched the footage again, seeing the methodical way the aliens rounded up colonists. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a harvest. Patricia called for attention. "I've spoken with the World Council. As of this moment, we are at war. Admiral Winters, you will lead our response. Operation Iron Shield is now active." Catherine felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. 27 colonies, 15 billion human lives. "I'll need complete authority to coordinate all military and industrial resources," she said. "You have it," Patricia confirmed. "Whatever you need." The next 12 hours passed in a blur of planning and organization. Catherine established her command center and began issuing orders that would change human civilization forever. "All commercial shipyards are now under military control," she told the assembled governors and corporate leaders on a secure call. "Every ship capable of carrying weapons will be retrofitted. All defensive research projects are moved to top priority with unlimited funding." On Mars, the massive Olympus shipyard shifted from building luxury space liners to constructing warships. Across Earth, weapons factories that had been nearly dormant for decades ramped up production. Military academies doubled their training schedules. 3 days after the drone's arrival, the first reports of attacks on outer colonies began coming in. The colony of Proxima Centauri II sent desperate distress calls before going silent. New Eden reported alien ships entering their system before their communications were cut off. Catherine stood in her office, watching the tactical display as red markers, representing alien sightings, spread across human space. "They're methodical," observed Gregory Walsh, who had joined her team as Chief Intelligence Officer. "They're working from the outer colonies inward, moving system by system. At this rate, they'll reach Earth in about 11 months. Then we have 11 months to build the biggest fleet in human history," Catherine replied. Old rivalries between nations faded as humanity united against the common threat. Countries that had once pointed nuclear weapons at each other now shared military technology. The industrial output of Earth reached levels never before seen. A month after the first attack, the biggest political summit in history convened in Geneva. Leaders from every nation gathered to formalize what was already happening, the creation of a unified human defense force. Catherine addressed the assembly, standing tall, despite having slept only a few hours in the past week. "We now know our enemy calls themselves the Harvesters," she told the silent crowd. "From the data we've gathered, they move through the galaxy taking what they want from developing civilizations. Usually they meet little resistance." She paused, her eyes moving across the room. "But we are not usual. We are humanity, and we will show them the mistake they made in attacking us." The assembly hall erupted in applause and shouts of agreement. Back at command headquarters, Catherine met with her growing team of admirals and generals. Fleet Commander Daniel Hayes presented the latest production numbers. "We've completed retrofitting all 5,000 existing military vessels. The new Vengeance class dreadnoughts have begun production. The first 20 will launch next week. At current rates, we'll have about 50,000 combat-ready ships in 6 months." "Not enough," Catherine said firmly. "We need more." Military engineer Nathan Phillips spoke up. "Admiral, we've analyzed the weapon signatures from the New Horizon footage. We think we can adapt some older theories about plasma containment to create something similar." "Do it," she ordered. "And I want our ships to have better shields too." As weeks turned into months, humanity's transformation continued. On the colony, World of Artemis base, General Olivia Martinez trained new soldiers day and night. Space stations were converted into giant factories building ships, weapons, and armor. 6 months after the first attack, Catherine stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital command station. Below her, the shipyards around Earth and Mars glowed with activity that never ceased. Newly completed warships moved in careful formations, conducting training exercises. Fleet Commander Hayes joined her at the window. "Latest count puts us at just over 90,000 warships, Admiral. Construction rates are still increasing." "The Harvesters have hit 15 colonies now," Catherine said quietly. "Intelligence estimates they have between 100,000 to 150,000 ships. So, we need more." "Much more," she agreed. "And we need better technology too. Our people are analyzing captured Harvester tech from the Proxima rescue mission. There's something strange about it. It's partly biological. Like they're part machine, part living creature," Hayes nodded. "The scientists are calling it biomechanical integration." Catherine turned from the window. "The outer defense line reports the Harvesters will reach Jupiter's orbit in approximately 4 months. By then, I want our fleet to number at least 500,000. "With respect, Admiral, that's impossible." Catherine's expression hardened. "Make it possible, Commander." 1. Human colony fell, no more will. As she spoke, another wave of newly built warships rose from Earth's atmosphere, their engines burning bright against the darkness of space. Each day, more joined them. Humanity's answer to the alien threat grew stronger by the hour. The Harvesters had started this war by attacking a single human colony. They would soon face the combined might of a species that refused to become prey. The massive shipyards stretching across Earth's orbit glowed with constant activity. Nathan Phillips watched through the viewport as another Vengeance-class dreadnought moved away from its construction cradle, thrusters pulsing gently. It was the 200th such vessel completed this week alone. "Impressive, isn't it?" asked a voice behind him. Nathan turned to see Admiral Catherine Winters. He straightened immediately. "Admiral, I didn't know you were visiting the shipyards today." "At ease," she said, joining him at the viewport. "I wanted to see our progress firsthand. The reports are one thing, but seeing it..." She gestured to the sprawling activity outside. "We've increased production by another 20% this month," Nathan said proudly. "The new automated assembly systems are working better than expected." Below them, Earth was barely visible behind the massive orbital construction platforms. Similar scenes played out around Mars, Venus, and even Mercury, where the abundant solar energy powered enormous factories. "How are the new weapon systems performing?" Catherine asked. "The plasma cannons are exceeding expectations." We've successfully reversed engineered some of the harvester technology. Not all of it, though. Nathan frowned. There's something about their biomechanical integration that we still don't fully understand. Catherine nodded. Keep working on it. We need every advantage we can get. Her communicator chimed. Admiral, you're needed in command. Intelligence team is back. 9 months had passed since the fall of New Horizon. In that time, humanity had transformed from a peaceful, expanding civilization to a war machine unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The harvesters had continued their advance through human space, taking colony after colony. But now Earth was ready to fight back. Catherine entered the command center to find Samuel Reeves and his intelligence team. Their clothing was torn and dirty, and several team members were being treated by medics. Report, she ordered. Samuel, despite his exhaustion, stood straight. Mission successful, Admiral. We infiltrated a harvester outpost near Titan Colony and retrieved both physical samples and data cores. What did you find? Confirmation of why they're taking humans, Samuel said grimly. They're using us as genetic material to enhance their biomechanical technology. The harvesters aren't just using humans as slaves or food. They're incorporating human DNA into their ships and weapons. A shocked silence fell over the room. Catherine was the first to recover. Explain. Their entire civilization is built on stealing biological advantages from other species, Samuel continued. Their ships are partially grown, not just built, and now they're after humans because we have something they want. Our adaptability, our creativity. They're trying to incorporate those traits into their technology. Catherine turned to Dr. Laura Bennett, the chief xenobiologist who had joined them. Is this possible? Laura nodded slowly. With their level of technology, yes. We've already seen how their ships have organic components. They're essentially creating a hybrid of machine and living tissue, and if they've been doing this to species across the galaxy, they've been getting stronger with each civilization. They harvest? Catherine finished the thought. How many have they taken before us? According to their records, at least 37 spacefaring civilizations, Samuel answered. None fought back effectively. Most were completely absorbed within a standard year. Catherine's expression hardened. Well, they haven't met humans before. She turned to the tactical display showing the current fleet positions. How many ships do we have combat ready? Fleet Commander Hayes checked his tablet. As of this morning, 250,000 vessels are fully operational. Another 100,000 will be ready within 2 weeks. Not enough, Catherine said. We need to accelerate production even further. Admiral, Hayes said carefully, our factories are already working at maximum capacity. The workers are pulling triple shifts. Then build more factories, she replied firmly. The harvesters will reach Mars orbit in approximately 3 months. I want our fleet to number at least 700,000 by then. The room fell silent again. Finally, Nathan spoke up. It can be done, but we'll need to convert the entire asteroid belt into production facilities, and we'll need to use every available ship to move materials. Catherine nodded. Do it. As the meeting ended, Dr. Laura Bennett approached Catherine, privately. Admiral, there's something else you should know. I've been studying the harvester biological samples. I think I've found a weakness. Catherine's eyes sharpened with interest. Go on. Their biomechanical systems rely on a neural network that connects all their technology. It's partly organic, which makes it incredibly efficient but also potentially vulnerable. I'm developing a virus that could disrupt it. A virus? Like a computer virus? More like a biological virus that can interface with their technology, Laura explained. If it works, it could disable their ships, maybe even turn their own technology against them. How soon can it be ready? Catherine asked. I need another month, maybe 2 for testing. You have 1 month. Priority access to whatever resources you need. On the militarized colony world of Artemis Base, General Olivia Martinez watched as her soldiers trained in the specially built simulation chambers. The chambers recreated encounters with Harvester ground forces based on footage recovered from fallen colonies. Again, she ordered as a squad emerged from the chamber, breathing hard. Your response time needs to be faster. The Harvesters don't get tired, and they don't hesitate. A young lieutenant approached her. General, the new powered armor units have arrived from Earth. Olivia nodded. Get them distributed immediately. I want everyone combat ready with the new equipment within 48 hours. Yes, ma'am. Also, High Commander Morris has called an emergency meeting of all fleet and ground commanders. The message was unexpected. Alliance High Commander Vincent Morris rarely interfered with day-to-day operations. If he was calling a meeting, something significant had happened. 2 hours later, Olivia joined a secure video conference with military leaders from across human space. Admiral Winters was there, along with Fleet Commander Hayes and other top officers. High Commander Morris appeared on the main screen, his expression grave. We've received new intelligence. He began without preamble. The Harvesters have accelerated their timetable. They'll reach Mars in 6 weeks, not 3 months as previously estimated. Murmurs spread through the virtual gathering. Our intelligence suggests they've detected our military buildup and are concerned. They're not used to prey that fights back effectively, Morris continued. This changes our plans. We cannot wait for them to reach our solar system. We must take the fight to them. Admiral Winters leaned forward. With respect, Commander, our fleet isn't at full strength yet. It's strong enough, Morris replied. As of today, we have over 500,000 warships ready for combat, with more completing every hour. The Harvesters have never faced resistance on this scale. We need to hit them before they fully understand what they're dealing with. The plan came together quickly. Instead of waiting for the Harvesters to reach Earth, humanity would launch a massive counterattack, targeting the Harvester homeworld directly. Dr. Bennett's virus would be deployed by Special Forces teams led by Samuel Reeves, while the main fleet engaged the Harvester Armada. 3 weeks later, humanity's fleet gathered near Jupiter. Ships of all sizes formed an armada that stretched for thousands of kilometers. From Earth, the concentration of vessels was visible as new, artificial constellations in the night sky. Admiral Catherine Winters stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching as more ships arrived hourly. The final count now stood at $700,000 warships, the largest fleet ever assembled by any species in known galactic history. All fleet commanders report ready, Admiral, Hayes informed her. Catherine nodded. Open a channel to all ships. The communications officer worked briefly at his console. Channel open, Admiral. You're addressing the entire fleet. Catherine took a deep breath and began speaking. Men and women of Earth and her colonies. For 9 months we have prepared for this moment. The enemy thought they found easy prey when they attacked New Horizon. They thought humans would be like the other species they've harvested. Weak, disorganized, helpless. She paused, looking out at the vast armada surrounding her ship. They were wrong. Today we take the fight to their doorstep. Today we show them that humanity will not be harvested. We will not be experiments in their laboratories. We will not go quietly into extinction. Throughout the fleet, crews listened in solemn silence. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier in this fleet carries the hopes of our species. Fight well. Fight for those we've lost. Fight for those we can still save. For Earth. A thunderous response echoed through the communication channels as hundreds of thousands of voices joined in a battle cry that seemed to shake the very stars. The massive fleet began moving toward the newly constructed warp gates that would carry them across the galaxy to the Harvester homeworld. The hunters were about to become the hunted. The human fleet emerged from the warp gates in perfect formation. 700,000 warships arranged in battle groups filled the space around a red dwarf star. On the bridge of her flagship, Admiral Catherine Winters studied the tactical display as data poured in. 12 planets in this system, reported Fleet Commander Hayes. The 4th, 5th, and 6th show massive harvester installations. The 7th appears to be their command world. Catherine nodded. Any response to our arrival? They're scrambling, Admiral. Our sensors detect thousands of harvester vessels, moving to defensive positions, but they seem disorganized. I don't think they expected us to find their home system, let alone bring this level of firepower. For the first time in months, Catherine allowed herself a small smile. Good. Deploy the fleet according to Operation Thunderstrike. All ships, weapons free. Throughout the massive human armada, crews moved to battle stations. Weapons powered up as ships formed attack patterns designed to split and divide the Harvester forces. In the launch bay of the flagship, Major Kevin Douglas checked his team's equipment one final time. 20 elite soldiers in advanced powered armor stood ready beside their assault craft. Among them was Dr. Laura Bennett, the xenobiologist who had developed the neural virus. Remember, Kevin told his team, our mission is the most critical part of this attack. While the fleet engages their ships, we get Dr. Bennett to the central processor on the command world. Everything depends on deploying that virus directly into their network. Laura clutched a small metallic case. Inside was the result of months of work, a biological agent designed to interface with and corrupt the Harvester's biomechanical systems. Are you ready for this? Kevin asked her. Laura nodded firmly. I've been ready since New Horizon fell. The battle began with a synchronized barrage from the human fleet. Thousands of plasma cannons fired simultaneously, their energy beams cutting through space toward the surprised Harvester vessels. The aliens responded quickly, their black ships moving to engage the humans. First wave impact successful, Hayes reported. We've destroyed approximately 5,000 enemy vessels. They're organizing their counterattack now. Catherine watched as the Harvester fleet, easily matching their own numbers, began to move with more purpose. Continue the assault. Launch fighters. Tell ground teams to prepare for deployment. The space around the Red Dwarf erupted into the largest battle ever fought in the galaxy. Human ships moved with precision, executing complex tactics that confused and divided the Harvester forces. But the aliens fought back fiercely, their biomechanical ships demonstrating capabilities that surprised even the well-prepared human commanders. We're taking heavy losses in Sectors 4 and 7, Hayes reported grimly. Their weapons are adapting to our shield frequencies. Rotate frequencies and continue the attack, Catherine ordered. Deploy reserve forces to support those sectors. We need to keep them occupied while the ground teams launch. In the chaos of battle, 500 small stealth-equipped assault craft broke away from the human fleet. Protected by fighter escorts, they raced toward the Harvester command world, a massive planet covered in sprawling biomechanical structures that seemed to pulse with life. Major Kevin Douglas piloted the lead craft, weaving through enemy fire. All teams follow my trajectory. Stay in the shadow of their orbital platforms to avoid detection. The descent to the planet's surface was harrowing. Anti-aircraft fire lit up the sky around them. 2 of the assault craft exploded, but the rest made it through the defensive screen. Landing zone in sight, Kevin announced. Prepare for immediate deployment. Their craft touched down in what appeared to be an industrial sector of the vast alien complex. Kevin's team moved out quickly, securing the perimeter as Dr. Bennett activated her scanning equipment. The central processor should be 3 kilometers. In that direction, she said, pointing toward a towering structure at the center of the complex. But we'll have to get through their internal defenses. Kevin checked his weapon. That's why we're here. Move out. As they advanced through the alien facility, they encountered bizarre defenses unlike anything in their training. Walls shifted and moved as if alive. Harvester guards, tall biomechanical entities with multiple limbs, emerged from hidden chambers. The human soldiers fought bravely, their new powered armor giving them advantages in strength and speed. Space. The battle continued to rage. The human fleet had formed a protective sphere around the command planet, holding off Harvester reinforcements while taking heavy damage. Admiral, Hayes said urgently, we've lost nearly a quarter of our fleet. We can't maintain this position much longer. Catherine's face showed no fear. We hold until we receive confirmation from the ground team. All ships, concentrate fire on their command vessels. We need to keep them disorganized. On the planet surface, Kevin's team fought their way deeper into the alien complex. Of the 20 soldiers who had landed, only 11 remained. They reached a massive door that pulsed with energy. This is it, Laura said, checking her instruments. The central processor is behind this barrier. Kevin studied the door. Standard breaching charges won't work on this material. He turned to his demolitions expert. Use the tactical nuclear devices. The team retreated to a safe distance as the specialist placed the small but powerful weapons. The explosion rocked the entire complex, creating a gaping hole in the barrier. Move, Kevin ordered. They rushed through the opening before the strange biomechanical material could begin repairing itself. Inside was a vast chamber filled with pulsing, organic-looking technology. At its center stood a column of swirling energy and biological matter, the heart of the Harvester network. That's where the virus needs to go, Laura said, opening her case. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the complex. The chamber's entrances sealed as defensive systems activated. Strange tendrils emerged from the walls, reaching for the human. Intruders! Protect Dr. Bennett, Kevin shouted. His remaining soldiers formed a defensive circle around the scientist as she worked to prepare the virus. In orbit, Catherine received urgent news. Admiral, our sensors detect massive energy buildups on the command planet. Something's happening. Before she could respond, strange signals began broadcasting from the planet. On communication channels that had been silent since the battle began, voices suddenly spoke, but not Harvester voices. This is Control Center. Harvester Command World, came a broken transmission. Major Douglas, virus deployed, working better than expected. Catherine leaned forward. Douglas, what's happening down there? The virus, came the reply, clearer now. It's not just disabling their systems, it's converting them. Dr. Bennett's virus is taking control of their technology. Throughout the battlefield, something extraordinary was happening. Harvester, ships suddenly stopped firing. Some began to drift aimlessly in space. Others, remarkably, turned their weapons against other Harvester vessels. The neural network, Hayes whispered in awe. The virus is spreading through their entire fleet. Admiral, the communications officer called out, we're receiving a new signal from the command planet. They're surrendering. On view screens throughout the human fleet, strange biomechanical entities appeared, taller than the Harvester soldiers, with multiple sensor clusters arranged in crown-like formations. We are the architects. One of them spoke in a voice that seemed partially mechanical, partially organic. You have infected us, corrupted our network. This has never happened before. Catherine stood tall. I am Admiral Catherine Winters of Earth. Your forces attacked our colonies without provocation. You harvested our people for your experiments. We demand unconditional surrender and the return of all human captives. The architect seemed to consider this. In 30,000 years, no species has ever defeated a Harvester fleet. We have absorbed 37 civilizations. None fought back with such determination. Humans are different, Catherine replied simply. Return our people, withdraw from all human territories, and we may allow you to continue existing. 3 days later, the human fleet began its journey home. Alongside their vessels traveled hundreds of captured Harvester ships, now controlled by Dr. Bennett's virus. Most importantly, transport ships carried thousands of rescued humans, survivors from New Horizon and other fallen colonies. On the flagship's observation deck, Admiral Catherine Winters stood with Samuel Reeves watching Earth grow larger in the view screen. It's hard to believe we did it, Samuel said quietly. Catherine nodded. The architects underestimated us. They thought we were just another species to be harvested. They never expected us to unite, to build a fleet that would darken the stars. What happens now? Samuel asked. With the captured Harvester technology, we could expand faster than ever before. Catherine considered this as she looked out at the stars. First, we rebuild what was lost. Then we make sure this never happens again. The galaxy has more dangers than just the Harvesters. But now everyone out there will know. Humans are not prey. Behind them, the door opened. A group of civilians entered, led by a woman with tired but determined eyes, Governor Allison Reed of New Horizon. Admiral Winters, she said, extending her hand. On behalf of all the survivors, thank you. Catherine shook her hand firmly. We promised no more colonies would fall. Now we'll help you rebuild. As the fleet approached Earth, people across the planet looked up at the night sky. Where once they had seen only stars, now they saw the lights of returning ships, thousands upon thousands of them, filling the darkness with the promise of humanity's enduring strength. One human colony had fallen, but humanity had risen, stronger than ever before.